to address the issue of grazing, then the cattle owners should also be,
they should actually be held responsible.
They should also be held responsible and see that farmers are victims of the skilled security system, and then the herders, to me, are also victims of a very notorious, and oppressive, system. So the farmers and herders that we are talking about, they are not even
they are actually the people at the lower end of the ladder.
The middle of the ladder. You should be looking, and it will surprise you that most of these policymakers, government, they are also in the business owners. Of cattle.
As a matter of fact, the governor of Benue State, I really sympathize with him, and I'm really glad that he escaped the assassination attempt. But that's not the topic for today. We'll move on this morning, and our conversation next goes to our reading culture. Quite a number of young people are finding it very difficult. And when I say difficult, I mean very extremely difficult to be able to communicate, to be able to work very well in this system, to apply themselves to today's regulation, today's style, today's changes, and the changes that came with globalization, even the changes of the new normal, simply because of their inability to read. Yes, the World Book Day was celebrated across the world, but we, on the Bumper Breakfast this morning, we desire to talk about reading culture. And joining the conversation, of course, Azeem, Salako, Oladimeji is still right here with me in the studio. Joining us via Zoom this morning, Precious Uwagbai, who is a health practitioner, and of course, we have Funmi Ilori from the iRead Network. Good morning, lady. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
All right. So, yes, we have Precious Uwagbai also here. Hello, good morning. Funmi, yes, we definitely are glad to have both of you here. And of course, our guest in the studio this morning is Azeem Salako Oladimeji. He is a political scientist and loves to read. He's notorious for it. So, Funmi, let me begin with you this morning. You are the one that has been doing a lot of work with children from the grassroots, from the lower level. What has it been like? What has been your experience so far with reading culture? Are being encouraged either by parents or by schools?
Thank you, beautiful morning viewers. Thank you for having me on the show today. It's really great working with the children. I've tried working with adults, and I saw that adults have become very dry bones to be able to break. So starting off with the children, giving them access to books confirms that these children want to read. The reading culture is really good. It's improving with them. And I say that adults have the responsibility of giving access to the children. Once we can be their role models, they would definitely take on to the culture. We've worked with several children across Lagos State schools and communities. And you need to see the excitement of the children when the mobile library visits them. So all they're supposed to get is one book per week. They read the book. They also review what they have read by writing it in a specialized journal. But you find some children still pleading, can we have 2 books, please? Can I just take 3? Because I'm going to finish reading one almost immediately. And so we try to encourage such children too. It's been good working with the children.
All right, let's talk about young people. Precious Uwagbai, you relate more with the people, the teenagers, the younger people in the higher institutions, and you mentor quite a number of them. What has been your experience talking about how well they respond to reading? All right, yes, we're still. Yes, Dr. Precious, we can hear you now. Dr. Precious, we're finding it really difficult to hear you. You need to unmute your mic. Your mic is mute. You need to unmute your mic. Your mic is mute.
It's unmuted.
Okay, thank you very much. We can hear you now. Yes, so you heard my question. Am I correct?
Yes.
So please go ahead and respond.
Okay, I said when it comes to the reading habit of students and young people in tertiary institutions and in our country, Nigeria at large, a lot of factors have influenced it, both positively and negatively. But you see, globalization and social media can be traced to having an effect. But first of all, I want to define what the reading culture is. It is the habitual and regular reading of books and information materials. You see, there are factors that will deprive or discourage a person from reading. Now, I call them the reasons for decline in reading culture amongst our tertiary institution and developing youths in the country. Number one is non-availability of quality libraries. You see, we need to go back to stocking our libraries. We need to go back to providing books. When you stop reading, you start dying. And that's really important. Number two, we need to have stable internet system. You know, most of our schools can't even boast of quality computer sets. How much more about an internet? And the government really needs to look into that. Number three, lack of materials. If the materials are not there, these students will not be encouraged to read more. Number four, non-rewards or non-appraisal of those who read. If you don't reward readers, if you don't appraise readers, then I'm sorry, the reading culture will not be enhanced or moved to the next level. There must be, or there should be, a reward for those who have done well through reading.
All right, let me come back to Azeem. Azeem relates more with the undergraduate and postgraduate students. Apart from those who read for the passing, what do you think has been the biggest factor inimical to the growth of the Nigerian youth at that particular pedestal?
Okay, if it is at that pedestal, then we can have, we can progress in that conversation. But if it is, lower the pedestal, then the issue that, the factors that have been, highlighted are not even the real factors, that explain the condition of those in the rural areas. It often sounds like.
Oh, we're talking about the people in the urban centers.
It sounds
now.
like, of course, that the conversation is centered on the urban.
No, let's go to the people in the rural areas.
So then, if we go to the people in the rural areas, then most of these factors that have been highlighted does not, explain their own situation. You talk about, digital literacy. He was talking about digital literacy, but then the question that they are, are facing is the access.
No, it began with library, of libraries, physical libraries.
Even if you talk about, physical library, then you must also look into even the IQ, the intelligence of the people who want to read, and they question the infrastructure, human infrastructure of even teachers who are to guide them, to tutor them. You talk about, we are looking into, in the rural areas. So they have a very complex.
No, hold on. So in the rural area, you are first of all saying that the teachers who are meant
they are not even readers.
Oh my.
Of course, that's you
So,
go to Lalate, go to Mekwafa. I'm very familiar with these people. I'm holding a debate competition ongoing. In Ogun West local government, and then it's amazing that
No, alarming. Don't use the word amazing.
Okay, alarming.
So because whatever you're about to say it sounds negative.
Yeah, it sounds negative, but when something surprises you,
okay.
It could be very notoriously amazing at times. Like, wow, does this?
I get you.
Does this thing really happen? So you find that even teachers who are to guide pupils cannot even complete a correct sentence in English language. So So, and then the question of even reading, because when we talk about reading now, we are talking about books. So even their notebooks, they don't even have a good one. Even when they have a good one, they are distracted by other communal issues. I'm talking about the students now, including the
So
teachers.
you went ahead and you said you're doing the debate there. It beats my imagination. You're going to answer the question later anyway, but beats my imagination why you went to the rural areas. I know you're trying to do inclusion, but you went for the rural areas. Shouldn't you then be looking at how to provide some of the things they lack rather than wanting to complicate their matter by making them go for what do you hope to achieve with a debate?
Okay.
Don't answer me yet. Let me go back to Funmi. Funmi, did you listen to Azeem talk about the teachers in the schools and how difficult it really is to find them, to find out that they can read or write, construct sentences correctly? Do you remember the days when there was a particular state governor? I don't want to mention right now, who conducted a test for a primary school 6 test for his teachers to know if how many of them will pass. And the answer was quite alarming.
Yes, so we cannot generalize on that. Even in the urban areas, you still find such default, amongst teachers. But then
public school or private school for me? Public school or private school?
Both, because you find out that even the graduates, I work with youth corps members, and some of them would come for interview. We don't just adopt them, we would interview them, and they cannot speak effectively, they cannot communicate, they cannot write, well, not all of them, but you'll be wondering that, you have passed through the tertiary institution. And that's why, for me, whether it's in the rural or urban area, one of the best solutions is access to these materials. Dr. Precious was talking about setting up libraries. Because there are no libraries in our communities, that was why we came up with the initiative of mobile libraries. Go to where they are. I visited a community in Ilori, just my neighbor community, and in getting there, the children were excited, children that had not even been in school. They were excited to see books. When I brought out my laptop, these children had never seen a laptop before. It was a shock to them. But that is not the first deal. The first deal is even give them access. When you go around developed nations, I visited the US.
Did you say Ilaro?
Yeah.
Yes. Ogun West.
Ogun West. Yeah.
Azeem's Ogun West. Really? They had not seen a laptop before.
No, they had not.
So how exactly were they able to do online classes during the COVID-19 lockdown?
Online. That's really, really far. That was really far from them. There was
Not
a lot
all
of
schools
gaps.
did that.
There was a lot of gaps. We tried to intervene in that regard, and we started the online school via WhatsApp. We had almost 3,000 families on the WhatsApp school. When we decided to move the WhatsApp school to Google Classroom, where they would be able to even attempt the works, the parents said, no, please give us these basics. We're good with it. And so what people want is access, whatever, at what lowest level. Can we just have kiosks that have libraries in them, placed in communities? Can we have room libraries? Can we have marwas, tricycles, carrying books around for children to have access? And if those children have access at a young age, I tell you, the higher classes, they're almost sorted. You see, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the makeup artist do?
Wow.
The makeup artist. This conversation is really interesting for me. For those of us who grew up, Dr. Precious, are you listening to me?
Yes,
for those of us who grew up, reading books as punishment. In my primary school, when you make noise, you read books as punishment. You stand up read and you read the English. I can never forget that textbook. Intensive English, if you're in primary 3, you're going to read intensive English 4, and you're going to read about 10 pages of intensive English. Then you will walk into the proprietress's office, and she'll be so patient with you that you will summarize what you read to her. She will look at it with you, and then you will be free to go back. So this is entire classroom being punished with book reading. So I wasn't really used to beating of children while I was growing up. You're a noisemaker, you read books. That was the punishment. That was also the punishment in my father's house. So imagine now getting to an environment where you're reading books and people are asking you the question, you and Bukusha, you and these books, Sha, are there advantages with reading, Dr. Precious?
Yes, there are. I want to commend your Honorable Aziz and Funmi, who just said something that blew my mind. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
She said the foundation, if the foundation be destroyed, what can the makeup artist do? That's interesting. Now, the advantages of books are as follows. You see, if you take it from the types, you will understand the advantage. But let me go straight to the advantages. Number one, it strengthens the brain. Reading strengthens the brain. Number two, it increases empathy. It increases empathy. Number three, it builds vocabularies. So don't even think about blaming it on the teachers from those rural areas. I need you to understand this. If you go to the rural areas today and distribute storybooks to those children in the rural areas, they will read it. They don't have access to books. And we need to put up libraries. We need to encourage them to read. Because it will help to build their vocabularies. We're talking about them first before we now look into the other people to blame. You know, it's always good to blame the persons involved, first of all. Number four, reduces stress. Reading reduces stress. If you want to ease on stress, just go through a sweet material. I'm telling you to reduce your stress. Number five, it aids sleeping. You want to sleep fast, just pick up a book. I'm telling you, before you go so far, you may end up sleeping. And then number six, it alleviates depression. It takes your mind away from the current situation and takes you into where you should be, which is in the confines of the book. And finally, number seven, it has been discovered that reading strengthens and lengthens lifespan. It strengthens and lengthens lifespan. So don't blame it on the teachers. Let's build
up to almost 93 or there, about 92. The man had read. By the time I knew how many professorial appointments the man had and doctorate degrees, and that he just released a book last year. I mean,
but would that theory surface for Pius Addison?
Now, if we talk about book readers and writers, Pius Adesomi was an exceptional writer.
Exceptional, but he died young.
Yeah, he died young because due to man-made error. That man should have lived long. Man-made error killed Pius Adesomi real young. I mean, Wole Soyinka, despite his health challenges and all, is still living quite long right now. Correct, Maya Angelou is living quite long. So let's talk about this access. We'll talk access. And we are focusing more on the rural areas. Trust me, I never intended to focus more on rural areas. I was just talking about books generally. Why are our political leaders who get all of the constituency allowance, why are they floating mobile toilets and borehole machines and not libraries?
Very simple. One, they don't believe in the reading culture because they are not readers in the very first instance. They don't also believe, in edupreneur, like they should go into, when they find themselves into education, they want to make money,
They build classrooms. Classrooms, they never build libraries.
Have private universities, private polytechnics, just for capitalist interest, nothing more than that. So the whole issue is because number one, they are not readers. They don't read. So they, of course, if the deputy speaker is a reader, he would have read that petitions can come from the diaspora. You know, so they are not readers. So
Azeem, you have to.
yeah, that's the fact. That's the brazen fact.
No, but they have parliamentary staff and research staff.
Yeah, they have that, and
who
they
can
don't
supply this information.
They don't even need them.
Maybe
They don't want. They don't want.
You
them.
may not have an effective PA.
No, they don't even want them to do the job effectively. You know, what they just want is, you know, you'll be amazed that even some of these people don't even have aid. They just get the money, and then, you know, they use it for any other. In my whole local government, let me share an experience with you. You know what? Should I mention names? But let me keep names for now. In my own local government, I do at our local government, a senator representing Ogun West, who had represented Ogun West
In the past.
he had represented Ogun West from my own local government. You know, he actually, you know, I was just in a resource center, and then these people came from budget. And they said, oh, they want to have access to the library that your senator, built. We said, there's no library in this local government. And they're like, okay, well, that's not even the issue. The issue is that he just, got some amount of money. Allocation to,
buy books
for the library. That's exactly what it was. I said, we don't